This will be a quicker video just on the watch table as opposed to the force table. So we notice that we force outputs, but what we do, we don't force inputs, we watch them. So we watch them turn on and off. Now we looked in another video just how we could visually watch the input light or the port light up on the PLC input cards as we push the start button or push the stop button or whatever it is, and we could see then how they're wired in. Now, sometimes your PLC could be away in a cabinet, it could be very far away, maybe from the input that you're triggering, or it could be hard to access or even just hard to see. So what you can do is you can also watch this from the software. And we do it again in a similar way, in the sense that we create a watch table and we add in our addresses. So for inputs, it's going to be %I, start at 0.0, right, %I, 0, keep doing that, oops, %I, 0.0, and then pull it down to make our 16 potential inputs, because we know we've only got 2 input cards, so 16 potential. Now there's some that have already been written in that we know. Again, remember that updates automatically from the input table. So again, if you make any changes, make sure you make to the input table and they will follow through. Similar idea in the sense that we go online, and what we need to do is then turn on our live monitoring mode, and we can visually see these inputs either turning on or turning off. Okay, now we can't modify them because you can't force an input. So even though that ability is there, that's for your force table. For your watch table, you just watch the input turn on and off. Now I just haven't got the hardware beside me or connected to my PLC, but if I was to trigger, let's say, the start push button, you would see that LED turn on and off. And that just might be an easier way of watching it than having to actually, find a control panel to look inside the PLC or to look at the PLC, or it could be very, very far away. Just depends on your setup. But essentially this is very similar to the way that we looked with the actual practical of turning on the input and output and just looking at the PLC itself. But here, this is how we can watch it from the actual software. Similar idea, you'll see which LED is flashing on and off as you trigger it, and then you would just update it in your input table and that would follow through. So for inputs, you watch them. For outputs, you can force them on and off.